Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us. I'm the founder of the JQK Immigration Law Firm, and I come here every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, to take your questions live about U.S. immigration law, going through the process, and take general educational questions not intended as individual legal guidance to give an idea of what's going on in this wild world of U.S. immigration, focusing on the cases we handle: marriage, green cards, small-time investors, starting businesses with extraordinary ability, going through the processing, through the embassy, consular processing, citizenship, removal of conditions, and the like. And so just ask your questions wherever you're watching this on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. And although we are here every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, we do pop-ups as well. You'll get notifications. For that, I recommend following us on our YouTube channel, JQK Law, or a U.S. Immigration Talk, to get those notifications. We jump in and ask more questions as well. But ideally, if you have a personal question you want to get answered with detail, and so we could do checks and stuff like that, go to our website and schedule a consultation. Go to jqklaw.com/contact, jqklaw.com/contact, and we could take your questions about U.S. immigration there and respond about how to schedule a consultation if it's the type of case we consult on. For example, we don't do asylum cases. We don't handle detained or immigration court cases, people being deported. So those aren't our specialties. So I would just tell you we can't do that. But if it's within the stuff we do, primarily marriage immigration, we can schedule a time. And if you are interested in marriage or a fiance visa, marriage green card, fiance visa, we have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. If you go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, the website again is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. You can go there and download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide and get information before you even talk with the lawyer about that process. Also, if you are interested in the citizenship process, we have a new guide that comes out, 50 plus pages. Go to jqklaw.com/citizenship. That's jqklaw.com/citizenship to download the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. It goes through the whole thing so you have an idea what's going on. Again, before you talk with an immigration attorney, a lot of good info there. It's the best free guide you're ever going to get. Probably paid guides not as good either. You got to check it out. Having said that, let's start the show. Our first question, Big Boss Elias, do they send biometrics twice? Did biometrics in 23, got detained in 24, got new biometrics. Yeah, it's up to them. If they want to do biometrics, they could do it over and over again as much as they want. Sorry that you got detained, though. That's a big problem. Well, whoever's watching this, and we already got 8 likes already, feel free to like and share this feed, especially on TikTok, so more people can be aware of the fact that we're here answering questions. And that way we could get more attention and have more questions to answer. And those on YouTube as well. We have a bunch of people watching there. Please like and share this feed, subscribe, and get more. Christopher, thank you for the gift. I appreciate that. We just got 60 likes in no time after saying that. Big Boss Ellie, thank you for liking the live. I hope the detained situation has been fixed. If you're here, you probably got out, but going through that's a big mess. I know. I feel bad for you. Sophia James, thanks for joining. Feel free to shoot out a question about U.S. immigration law. We had a question. So Big Boss asked about biometrics. The Trump administration just issued an update to the Code of Federal Regulations saying they're going to start doing massive amounts of biometrics. And it's a lot of parts to this. Biometrics is the system to get your personal information from your video, photo, and your fingerprints, but they're adding voice recordings they want to do, increase DNA reporting, especially for family-based cases, and retina scanning. So they're really going all digital, creating a real, almost a science fiction world where they're collecting all this data. And they're adding it where they're going to ask petitioners more about it, and then also joint sponsors potentially. So it's very, very complex and more intense what they're doing. So, user 133 says, off topic, is law school hard? A good law school, yeah, it's hard. It's very hard because it's a competitive environment, and the people around you just get better and better. So if they're not doing good, they work harder. So it's not like a stable environment where you can just work and you're ahead of everybody, stay ahead of the pack. The people who did not good will work harder to get better next time. So it's a very competitive environment. It's very good if you want to get better at whatever you do and develop a hardcore work ethic and the like. So it's not the good atmosphere, but it's necessary to succeed in this world and the system that we have. User 13, thank you for the gift badge. I appreciate it. If y'all haven't already, please like and share this feed on TikTok so we get more people knowing about it. Jimmy Lai, a good friend of mine on LinkedIn, a great immigration lawyer, is doing great in providing guidance during turbulent immigration times. I appreciate it. If y'all haven't already, definitely follow Jimmy Lai on TikTok. I'm sorry, not TikTok too, but on LinkedIn. Great content there if you're a business owner, immigration lawyer. If you're going through the process, he's a machine pumping out content. So Jimmy, thanks so much for the kind words on the show. So the update to the biometrics appointment and biometrics in general was a little bit of a shifty one that they started, but there's a lot more going on to make life more difficult. They're making an additional $1,000 fee as per the big beautiful bill for those entering the United States on a thing called parole. This is special permission to enter the U.S. without a visa, but you're allowed to come in. There are exceptions to it. For example, if you get advanced parole based on like an adjustment of status, a green card case pending in the United States, then you don't have to pay the fee. But other types of parole may have that subject. So, for example, if you have DACA, deferred action for childhood arrivals, and you get advanced parole for that, you probably have to pay $1,000 fee to return. So definitely save your money for that one. But that's a huge hit. Christopher asks, are I-864s being scrutinized more now? The affidavit of support. And the answer, I'm not sure if they actually are now, but they are going to be, because there was another update by the Trump administration about 2 or 3 weeks ago where they're going to scrutinize the I-864, review it, check out the joint sponsor, potentially biometrics them, get fingerprints for them and photo and the like, and also look back. So maybe somebody acted as a sponsor for you, and they'll go back a few years later to make sure that information was correct, it was not bad, so they could take away your green card or your citizenship. So there's a lot of wild things that are happening that I didn't know they had the research for, but they do when they got this $100 billion bill. So please share the live feed and invite your friends to come and ask questions. Selom asks, hello, is I-751 online now? What is better to file? So it's online. So the I-751 is an application you do when you've been married you got your green card based on marriage. And if your marriage is relatively new by the time the green card is approved, less than 2 years old, the green card they issue is only going to be 2 years old. And so you need to file a renewal, and the renewal is called Form I-751. They just added it where you could file it online on your my.uscis.gov account, but it's not the typical filing like the I-130 or the N-400 for citizenship. They want you to upload a PDF into the system. That's how I do it. I haven't done it yet. I don't like uploading the PDF system, so our firm is going to still mail those in until I make a system where we can input the information correctly. This seems like just we'll test it out on some new cases. It's a new thing. The cases we have right now are tricky, complex kind of cases, so I don't want to send in a complex case into this new system. But if we get a new case that's like a more simplified I-751 joint filing with a lot of bona fide evidence where there's not much to go wrong, we'll probably give it a test and see how the I-751 works. But for now, the cases we have for I-751, most of them are complex ones, so we're not going to be doing that. And you're asking, is it better to file mail or online? Any recommendations? No recommendations. I mean, we know the paper version still works. That's what we're sticking to in our complex cases, but maybe it'll be different for you. But I don't have any recommendations, especially because I don't know the details of your case. Ghislaine says, can I apply for citizenship even if I had a charge before and paid for the fine and got dismissed? Well, we got to know what the charge was, how long ago it was. Was it properly dismissed? You have the court record, all that out to do the analysis necessary to make a decision whether it's going to be a problem or maybe a problem or not a problem. So definitely, get the court records, get the paperwork for that, talk with the immigration attorney in private, because they're going to have to review that and read it all to give you an understanding of what's going on with that situation. SR content creator asks, have you had anyone applying for the N-400 while living in a van, not really in a specific state? No, I haven't had that situation. I've had people who are truckers just essentially live in their truck because they're just driving around the country, but they had a base of operations, and then that's what we put as the address, and it worked. Like in California was what there would be when they're here, but they're always driving. And you just tell the government that. But living in a van, that's a tricky one. I haven't had that scenario before. We kind of see where your family lives, maybe, and that could be your basic address, maybe where your mailing address has been, and explain the situation that that's your home, but you're living in a van. But if you're homeless, I don't know. I haven't had that situation before. Typically, a person who's living in a van wouldn't have the money to hire me as a lawyer, so it's not a situation lawyers typically run into. But I wish you the best. Let's see. Ghislaine, thank you for the gift. Rambo, thanks for joining. And everyone else, Mary, TikTok, Housley, everybody's joining. Thank you. You're welcome. It's our content creator. Ghislaine says it was petty larceny. It was 2023. So it was within the last 5 years. So petty larceny, I would definitely, he had to get the record, get the court records, certified copies, maybe the arrest report. That has to be reviewed. Even if it's dropped, that could be problematic because it happened in the last 5 years. We got to see if an admission was made on the record. There's a lot of analysis that has to happen to that, Ghislaine. So that's not an open and shut one. You definitely need to have a lawyer review it with you to see what's going on. Generally, when you have any arrest history, it becomes problematic. Saki says, hi to you all. Hi to you. Selim says, I-751 evidence submitted like bank statements, pics. Do we need to submit only one? only the two to submit only the 2-year period. Yeah, I mean, at the start, sometimes officers will ask for more afterwards. It's not necessary, but sometimes they'll do that. But the basics we do when we do an I-75 removal condition as evidence, there's 3 or 5 things you definitely want to have if you could. Like if you have kids together, birth certificate, that's even better. But lease agreement, home ownership agreement to show you're living together, joint financial accounts, bank, credit card, savings account. Third, having joint insurances, home insurance, car insurance. 4, joint taxes is very important. That's very important. You got to do joint taxes for the last 2 years. And 5, having driver's licenses with your same address showing you live together. Those are some primary ones they see, but you could ask photos together, letters from family and friends. And then, people have travel records together, flying places. So that's always a easy one if you have that to show those records. Just Lane, thank you for the gifts and likes. But those are the kind of things we do. And everyone has a unique situation in their life that could add extra flavor to their relationship. Those are the main stuff. And says, case has been in administrative processing for a K-1 fiance visa for 7 months. What to do? Unfortunately, there's not much you could do. Get more hearts in your life. That means probably okay. So Waka says, did you notice any interesting observations on the I-75 adjudication timelines, like delays and things? No, everything's been the same so far, which is delays. The interesting thing is some cases get done, a few cases get done in 6 months, but most take 2 to 3 years. Manoj says, when my parent applied for my I-130 for F-2B visa process, my parents still green card now. I am married now. That's unfortunate because once you get married and you have an F-2B, the case gets invalidated. You have to stay single unless your parents become a citizen. So I'm really sorry to tell you that the marriage invalidated the I-130 petition, F-2B I-130 petition. Barry says, I'm an asylee waiting for an interview. Can ICE deport my family? It depends if they're not maintaining status, and depends on how they enter the United States. What's going on? I don't know. I don't know the details of your family members' backgrounds to be able to say. And Ghislaine, thank for sending the finger hearts on TikTok. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I appreciate it. And Barry as well, thank you for the gift. I wish the best for your family. Yeah, we need to go through everyone's details, see what's going on there. All right. Again, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. We've had 537 likes on TikTok. Let's see if you go to 1,000. Let's see, double that up. Ghislaine says, do. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But feel free to shout out your questions. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi, answering questions about general immigration issues. If you're interested in marriage green cards or fiance visas, go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's the website, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. If you want to schedule a private consultation, it's Lane, go to jqklaw.com/consultation. Contact, jqklaw.com/contact. So you start, but I want you to get the record first. I want to, even before having a consultation, do a quick review if you get the basic information. Because I don't specialize in criminal immigration or crimmigration, as they put it. So I got to see how complex your situation is before I guide on it. So definitely get the conviction record from the court certified copy and have that with you. Get forward that to me so I can see what's going on, and then we can have a consultation. Take it from there. Saki says, my wife, she's living in the U.S. She has an American green card. She have American green card. She can apply for me. Let's see. If your wife has a green card, she could petition for you. It's going to take a little bit of time, but potentially. Now, whether you have issues that could prevent that from happening and all that kind of stuff, we got to go into your life and stuff. So please schedule a consultation. But before you do, download my guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com to check that out, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Download that guide, then schedule a private consultation. Agu says, my case has been pending since my interview. Do you think I should sue USCIS to make a decision? Well, how long has it been pending? Agu Nabu, thank you for the gift as well. We got to see what's going on. If it's been pending like 2 years, maybe, but less than that, it's not good. Barry says, can ICE deport you if you have a pending asylum case? So, no, they can't deport you. You have to go to court. If it has an asylum case, and then the court case has to be unsuccessful, or the court has to judge to toss out your case. Once you get a deportation order, then they can deport you. So they can't just deport you like that if you have an asylum case pending. Well, what they're doing nowadays, they're saying like, oh, the asylum wasn't properly filed or has issues. They close the case, they immediately deport you. So that stuff is possible too. Unfortunately, it's gotten very crazy when it comes to the immigration law, especially for people with asylum cases and court cases. For those watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe so you get more notifications of doing pop-ups to answer your questions about general immigration stuff that's popping up. We married, says, Saki says, we married in the U.S., have Norwegian citizenship, now us not give me a visa. Saki, I can't really understand what you're talking about. Please schedule a private consultation. You say, we married in the U.S. I have Norwegian citizenship. New U.S. not give me a visa. I'm not sure what that means. Todd says, what happened if you miss your check-in with USCIS? I think you mean ICE check-in. If you miss it, you could be subject to removal. You probably have a pending removal order or something like that. So it could be really bad. We got to see what's going on in your history first. Yaya says, can someone who came here at 6 years old and has been living here since get married, marriage-based visa? Well, first of all, I have to get married in a real relationship. Second of all, did they enter with a visa or without a visa? Was it lawful entry or unlawful entry? And then there's other questions. The affidavit support, who could financially support the case? Have they had arrest history or something like that? Have they had other cases pending? We got to see the whole picture. Can someone? Maybe. But the answer is not really satisfying. Want to get more information? So I have them download my guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, the website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. But best to have a private consultation so you look into it further. John says, hi, my wife and I got an RFE for more info on a divorce decree. They sent it to me. My wife sent it. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what your question is there. You need to double check to make sure divorce decree is proper. It was divorce finalized before your new marriage happened. These are the issues that we see. The names are proper. It was signed by the judge, all these kind of things. Rim says, U.S. citizen married second time after first divorce. Will it be a problem to petition for husband who's outside the U.S.? May that. I need more details, but if you're divorced and you got remarried, that's a normal thing that happens. So, like, I don't see why that's a problem, but it just depends on the details of your case in the background. But that alone is not something that's abnormal, but we got to dig deeper to see what's going on, why you'd be worried to ask that question. Rijim, thanks for the like, and everyone else was liking. George Yucca, good to see you. Jump says, will they accept the RFE if they it to me, but my send over on our online account? You have to submit the case to the proper account that's requesting it. So if the I-130 is requesting it, upload there. The petitioner will have access to that. If the adjustment of status has the RFE, you need to upload it there, which you would have an account. So you can't just willy-nilly do one or the other. Although sometimes, because they're connected together, one account may have access to both. But you just want to do it properly or mail it in just to avoid these kind of things. She mailed it under my name. I don't know. I have to see what's going on. So unfortunately, Jump, like, I haven't seen your paperwork. It's already mailed out. It's pretty much already too late. But I don't know without seeing what you actually did, what was actually in the request for evidence. I just can't say. Saki, thanks so much for sending the likes and roses on TikTok. I appreciate it. And okay, so yes, a lot of these things is we got to see what's actually written. So people sometimes get RFEs, and we see it come to my office where they have a birth certificate where the name is wrong on there, the date of birth isn't correct. They register their birth like 5-6 years after they're born. The government questions that the parents' names are missing, or different parents' names that they're different from other documents. There's so many issues. They don't have the stamp, so like the person never signed it, the government authority, so they never validated the birth certificate. And people don't realize that until they're 40 and they come to me. So that comes a problem. We got to see what's going on. So someone says I have my birth certificate, I can't trust them on that because I got to see it for myself, because they don't know what the things I'm looking for and the problems people have. Saki says, you have WhatsApp? I do, but we don't use emergency only for existing clients. So we don't WhatsApp people unless they're an existing client and it's an emergency. We prefer email. Ramja says, average cost to use an immigration attorney to file for spousal visa. There's no, $5,000 to $25,000. That's not much of a average. Depends on what your case is and what's required. Sandusky says, email, really? Yeah. That's what do you mean, email, really? Thank you for the badge. WhatsApp is better for the people. Okay. But I'm a lawyer. I have to keep records of things, and it's not easy for me to keep records on a phone. Maybe other people do it, but I don't think it's professional, but some people do it, and that's what they do. The people I work with, which are a lot, are cool with it. Okay, if you have WhatsApp, you're gonna have email too. So if you have a phone that's WhatsApp, it's very easy. Whatever happens to your home, to have an email address, it's not difficult. User 702 says, my lawyer has my packet under review as of yesterday, but how long does that usually take for I-45? I don't know your case, but if you're just like a day, I mean, give the lawyer some time, for God's sakes. Like, give him a couple of days at least. Bureau says, in our office, once we have the package for final review, we have like 2 or 3 people in the office, 2 lawyers at least review it, and they might have scheduled it. So give it 48 hours, one double check, we print it out, review it, all that kind of stuff. He's a little too impatient. Vero says, can an illegal old lady, 80 years old, do something for her status? Her daughter's a U.S. citizen. She entered illegally because she was a victim of violence by her husband. There may be some exceptions. Was her husband a U.S. citizen or not? Did she file for asylum or not? Maybe too late for that. Maybe too late for VAWA at this point. there are things in court where you deport, you ask for forgiveness, but under this administration is hard, and you got to be in immigration court waiting for deportation. So that's a tricky situation. I don't know. I can't say, Beryl. It's not likely. Sometimes there's exceptions, but they got to talk with immigration in private. That's not the specialty of the work I do, so I'd recommend consulting other people about that. Smart Boy says, hey, sir, do you have any information about SIV? No, we don't handle SIV cases, special immigrant juveniles or special immigrant visas. We don't typically we don't handle those kind of cases. User 70 says, we signed everything last week for spousal petition I-485 last Wednesday. Case isn't complex. I don't know what their schedule is. I don't know what they tell you ahead of time, but a few days from Wednesday now is not too bad, but, they should get together. Asking if they need more help or something like that. They may be going through an emergency. Maybe they broke his hand, so he's like in the hospital. I don't know. People, these things happen. Now, some lawyers suck, and they take forever, and they disappear. But, give it benefit of the doubt, I guess. And have they been slow in other areas? What's going on? So that's that. Thank you for the badge, though, and the gift. Wait, what? Uzi says, how accurate is USCIS processing times? Not at all. I have a VAWA case, but I see processing times increased 23 months since I started. So VAWA is just going to get slower and slower, but the timelines the government gives aren't reliable either. Tammy asks, is there a delay on VAWA receipt notices? Yes. If you're doing VAWA or a U visa, it's easy for them to take 4 to 6 months to issue the receipts, unfortunately. It's super backed up. Mina, thanks for joining. Khalusha, thanks for joining as well. If you haven't already, please like this page on TikTok and share the live feed. JB says, any update on DACA? No, we're waiting for the judge in the case to approve it so the government could restart the DACA process. But, it's been a month or two. Something's happened. He says, it's been over 6 months, haven't gotten a receipt. I'm sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, it's hard to check to see what happened because you don't, get a payment for VAWA, so to see if they cash a check or not. But fortunately, I don't know what to tell you on that kind of situation. Maybe call USCIS. Halusha, thanks for following the following. Halusha, a very education live discussion. I appreciate that, Halusha. That's very kind of you. And thanks for the badge or the gifts as well. Cindy, thanks for joining. Vero, you're welcome. Vero. Tammy as well. Thank you. And thank you for the badge and gift and all that kind of stuff and liking the live show. So everybody, we got 741 likes. Much appreciated on TikTok. So shoot up those likes to see if we get to 1,000. And Claire, thanks for joining as well. M joined and user 15. Feel free to ask your questions. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasrabi. I come live every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern to take your questions about U.S. immigration law. Molly says, thank you. You're welcome. And so ask your questions about general U.S. immigration stuff. And if you're interested in a marriage visa or a fiancé visa, marriage green card, download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. The website for that free guide, 70+ pages, is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. This marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And that was so successful, so many downloads that I made a guide for the citizenship called the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide at jqklaw.com/citizenship. Download that 50+ pages to get you abreast of what's going on in the immigration process for citizenship. User 70 says, most communications with the paralegal. Okay, I don't like that, but okay. I emailed her yesterday and today about when they mailed, no response. So give them 24 hours, but it just might be going through something. But, I mean, have they been unresponsive in pretty different areas or something? So give them until the end of the week and then say, hey, it's kind of getting too much what's going on. Cindy says, we just got approved for I-601 waiver. Congrats. It's been 3 months. Why hasn't USC not sent out? So you got approved for a 601 or a 601A? And if it's 601A, USCIS, are you outside the U.S., Cindy, or did you do your visa interview? Ron says attorneys are greedy. Who's not greedy? Do you work? Do you work for a living? So if you have 601, is it for adjustment? Are you doing constant processing, Cindy? This Santiago says, do me and my spouse need a bank account together for proof having kids enough? Typically having kids enough, I've randomly heard them have difficulties with kids, but if you have kids together, you're going to have other life stuff together. So you don't have to have a bank account, but you're going to have other things. Your kids go to school, potentially. They're going to have like records from school listing you both as parents. It's different things. User 70 firm charge $4,000 for the complete package. Consultation seem involved by having second guess. Just give it a day or two and see what happened. Nowadays, things have gotten so expensive that $4,000, it makes it hard to run a operation. Unfortunately, it's a lot of money, but still not enough to do a good be really there because the cost of operating is so high that if you do that much, you have to take a lot of cases to be able to like manage the firm and pay for the bills, and then that causes you to be less available for clients. So when you pay a lot for attorneys, some of them are going to suck just to their money. but some of them, like, they do that so they give you more time. So in our firm, we charge more than that. But like, your old lawyer is always there for you. So we're there within 24 hours, not within an hour, within a minute. We're just going to keep responding to you, because like, I don't have to like do a million cases to be able to pay the bills. I could take on less cases, but give a lot of great service to people. Now, some people, they think it's too expensive. They don't care about good service, but it seems like you do. That's why if you want faster responses, waiting a week is not too much really. But for $4,000, that kind of makes sense, because the lawyer's going to have to take, 3 cases to pay for, like, he's got to work a lot more to be able to pay the bills. Molly says, in your answers, it helped. Well, thank you, Molly. I appreciate that. Cindy says, yes, went to consulate. He needed I-6-1 now for 3 years to prove. What do we do now? So you got to contact the consulate again to schedule another interview and do another medical checkup too to get the waiver. So contact the embassy. You register your previous appointment at Visa Info, US Visa Info, or something like that probably. You need to work on rescheduling, working with every embassy does it differently, so you got to see what's going on, but you just got to reschedule another interview at the embassy. You probably had a lawyer if you did 601, so they can help you. DeSantiago says they are 2 years old and 1 year old. Okay, you got birth certificates. You're going to have other stuff in your life together. You could use photos together, travel records. There's always something. I mean, you're married, you have kids together. There's got to be something. Hospital records, the kids were born and listen, you were there. Wait, what Uzi says, you mentioned VAWA will get slower and slower. Is there any reason to say that? Because if you look at the statistics for the Violence Against Women's Act, this is where a U.S. citizen or green card holder has a spouse or children or parents that they abuse, and people get a green card based on that. It went from 2,000 people filing a year to 4,000 to 8,000 to 16,000 in this matter like last 5 years. So it just doubles and doubles, and there's so many cases are filed that it just slows down the system. The amount of people doing VAWA is incredible. And if you on Instagram and TikTok, you see it, there'll be a lot of lawyers saying, do VAWA, do VAWA, do VAWA. And people are doing it, so the numbers went crazy high. And obviously, there's going to be extra fraud and fake cases going in there, so the government has to pay more attention. And so that messes up the whole system because of it. Molly says, what's the easiest way to get the embassy in the U.S. area where it is located? Easiest way to get the embassy in the USA area where it is located. I'm not sure what you mean. The U.S. embassies are all located outside the U.S., so I'm not really sure what your question is, Molly. Please try to rephrase it. Saki says, 2 times I'm applying for B2 visa. I got the interview. They rejected after 3 minutes interview. Yeah, they could do that. Unfortunately, not much you could do about that. Golden says, how long do I have to wait to file for adjustment of status after getting married? There's no timeline waiting period of it. Just depends on if you have a good case or not and what the issues are in your case to want wait or not wait. But there's no requirement that you just need a marriage certificate to get the I-130, and there's no deadline, like timeline for adjustment per se. D. Santiago says, can you do medical exam in the U.S. before going back to your original country? No, if you're going to do consular processing, you need to do the medical checkup at the designated, doctor by the embassy. So if you're going to go to your original country, I'm guessing you mean go to your embassy interview. If that, you got to go to the doctor designated there. All right, we almost, it's 30 minutes almost. So I only have 2 more minutes to take your questions. Please shoot them out. We got a lot of good questions today. I appreciate it. We got over 1,000 likes. I appreciate it. Let's see if we get a 2,000 in the next 2 minutes. But I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I come here every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time to take your question about U.S. immigration law. Please shout them out. Marzia says, how long can 221G take for my 730? 221G for I-730, there's no timeline about how long these things will take. It just depends on how the government wants to do it. I've seen it take 1, 2, or 3 years. You could even get denied. It could be 1 day. It could be 3 years. There's no fixed time period of when they're going to finalize administrative processing 221G, unfortunately. Star, Ian, thank you everyone for joining. Shoot out your questions. I'm only here for another minute to take your U.S. immigration questions live. If you want to schedule a private consultation, go to jqqlaw.com/contact. That's jqqlaw.com/contact. Halusha says, how long does the I-130 take for the spouse? Well, it depends on what kind of I-130 is and where you are. If you're a U.S. citizen petitioning for your spouse overseas, probably going to take 12 or 14 months. If you're a green card holder petitioning for your spouse overseas, probably going to take 12 to 36 months. If you're in the United States filing I-130 with your adjustment of status, depending on whether you're a citizen, if you're a citizen, it could take 3 months. It could take a year. If you're a green card holder, that's up in the air. Mary just says, how can I apply for a B1, B2? You fill out a form DS-160, and you go to the website for registering an interview with the U.S. Embassy or consulate that's local to you, and you go do an interview, and you take care of it like that. Sakia, thanks for joining again. I appreciate it. So I think we're almost done with the show. I'll take one more question if you want to shoot it out, and we'll take it today. This Santiago says, located in Houston. So Are you? No, I'm in Los Angeles, but our location on your kind of case doesn't matter. We had no cases from Houston, from Los Angeles. You might have an interview, but depending on most cases, that we handle don't read attorney be there in interview, so it's okay. Or we help you find a lawyer locally for that part. Kalusha says I-130 from U.S. citizen for a spouse who came through the southern border with status or without status, and so that's a big problem. Consultation price 702 asks, well, it depends on the case you have. So go to our website, jqklaw.com. Fill out the box with your information. I'll reply. The fees vary and change and all this kind of stuff. So I don't like on this recorded session to say a fee that's not going to be, it'd be different or something like that. So just go to the website, fill in on what's going on, and we take it from there. Khalisha says she doesn't have status, but seeks asylum. So doing I-130 in your case is problematic. We got to talk because they might just pick him up about the interview. So there's a lot going on. You need a consultant attorney private for that. Anya says, how often are there approvals for expedite I-130 cases? There's no how often. It's just some are, some aren't. These aren't statistics that they give out, but it's kind of harder and harder. User 702 all 50 states. Yeah, unless there's a unique situation that requires us to be there in person, we handle cases everywhere. Clutch says, okay, you're welcome. And US says, if you went out of the country and came back to America, can you apply for asylum? There's a lot of different factors you need to analyze whether you can file for asylum or not. So that isn't per se one of them. We have to see what's going on. Margie says, can I apply beside I-730, I-130, I-131, or to U.S. visa? I already had a tourist visa. They canceled it. These things, Margie, I-730, you got to have a primary case that happened. I-131 is for parole. You can always do it. I-130 is for a petition. Doesn't give you a visa directly. So it depends on what your facts are. High Vibe says, hello, sir. I'm an LPR. I had a minor DWI 8 years ago. Will I be able to renew or file my citizenship? Most likely, but we got to see what's going on in the documentation. But one DUI 8 years ago after the 5 years, we'd want to show that you rehabilitated, you went to AA classes, you're doing good things for society, you're working, you're taking care of family members, taking care of the community, that kind of stuff. It's possible. Is the I-730 suspended, Marzias? It seemed to be for a temporary period of time, but not right now. But sometimes they get backed up and it takes a long time for them to be done. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Schedule a private consultation. Go to jqklaw.com/contact to get that started. I said that. God bless. Be safe. I'll see you all next week. And please follow us on YouTube, JQK Law or U.S. Immigration Talk. When we do these pop-up videos where I take questions real quick when I have time here and there, that's the best place to answer your questions. Until next time, be safe. Bye-bye.